This is Off the Record, where I help you discover new artists and new music. I am Isaiah. Welcome to the show this week. It's such a good one, and I'm so excited for you to hear these three incredible interviews that I have lined up. But let's talk about new releases. The one that takes the cake for me was Miguel's new release, Chaos, because this goes back to what high school felt like to me. Kaleidoscope Dreams was like one of my favorite albums growing up, and that came across in this newest album versus the like experimental stuff he was trying, going back to his R&B roots and his Latin roots in it. So good. Daniel Caesar dropped his newest album, and it's very biblical is the word I want to use for it. It's very spiritual, it's very Jesus-y, which is a nice like fresh take for him. And then when it comes to the new singles, I'm wearing my hat because Anthony Winters finally dropped his newest song. Rocco Gorlick, who was also a guest on the show, dropped his newest song. Both incredible artists that I'm just like super excited to see them pave the way in their own fields. Rocco Gorlick taking on that country scene, the 15-year-old incredible guitarist, just all around incredible person too. So it's fun seeing him do the thing. And then, like I said, Anthony Winters with his newest single, Stuck in the Middle. He's just such a light. And what is super fun about his track is like it has those old school pop moments, and it definitely had me want to go back and listen to like Justin Timberlake this week and all those older guys. Like he has those elements, which is super fun. Someone who hasn't been on the show, two guests who haven't been on the show actually, and I want both of them to come on at some point. We got to find the right moment. Jacob Wright released his newest title, 49er, and his work always leaves you wanting more and asking questions about yourself. It's very like intellectual, like it leaves you thinking, it leaves you guessing. And then Talk by Love is just that fun. It's upbeat, it's a good time. So yeah, those are new releases, and let's get started with this week's episode. In no time at all, we were walking down the yellow brick road. This is Off the Record, where I help you discover new artists and new music. I'm super excited because I'm sitting here with Lily Kincade to talk about her newest album, Cinematic. How are you feeling today, Lily?
I'm feeling amazing. I'm feeling cinematic. I'm feeling excited that the album is out and, you know, everyone can listen to it now.
Listening to it through like that name, as well as the track Cinematic itself, is like such a perfect name for the album. How did you get to like choosing like that was going to be the track for it?
Yeah, it's crazy because, you know, people have been asking me like, how would you describe the album? And I'm like, cinematic. Like cinematic is the perfect word, but I love creating projects that have like a theme, you know, like lyrically, visually, sonically, and like all of my music, I'm writing it all. So it's basically my diary, but I'm like, how can I, you know, say these emotions in a way that ties it all together? And I wrote probably between like 150, 200 songs for the project. And then I knew like the day I wrote Cinematic, I was like, oh my gosh, like that's like perfect. I was like, that's the perfect, like it almost sums up all of the emotions I've been feeling in this period of my life. Like it's almost like the trailer, the album trailer, the movie trailer. And then all of these other songs are like little different scenes and different emotions. But that's how I knew, because I was like, it's a perfect word to sum it all up. Like it's so cinematic.
And I love that it's the second track on the album.
Yes.
And it's just like going into behind the scenes straight into it. Like it's just that like perfect build up. It's so cool. Well, before we like dive more into the album, I'm really curious to know who your musical influences were growing up. Not so much the artists like you discover, but like who in your life do you remember playing music, and what were they listening to?
Ooh, I was always, you know, I grew up dancing, so I was always listening to like a variety of different music. I started playing piano when I was really little, like kindergarten, first grade, and so I was always listening to like classical music or like piano music, you know, just kind of like instrumental music growing up, which I loved. And then it was like my second grade teacher, Mrs. Goncher, who like she was the best. I would say she was like the best teacher ever. Love her. I say this affirmation all the time, and it's today is a wonderful day. I'm confident because I am a problem solver. I always have options because I choose to be optimistic. Today I will learn something new, laugh, make a difference in someone else's life. And she used to have us say that every single day.
I love that.
And like she like encouraged us to write a lot of poems. We always did like poetry shows and like taught me how to play chess. But she really like inspired my creativity. And I think like writing poetry and then writing songs and like, I don't know, just embracing your creativity and having fun with it. And I always like go back to that. And yeah, that was like a huge inspiration because, you know, creativity, it's hard sometimes because there's no right or wrong way to be creative. So it really is like you just have to surround yourself with those people that are like encouraging you to like keep going and keep trying and keep creating.
And like second grade till now, the fact that you can still recite that like so perfectly word for word shows how much of an impact like she has had. That's so cool. What was putting this track list together like?
Putting the track list together was very fun. Like I was very intentional. They're not randomly thrown together. There's a very intentional order to it. And like you were saying earlier, I knew I wanted behind the scenes. I was like, this is the perfect album opener. It's almost like introducing the listener to the world. It's like, okay, we're about to go behind the scenes on, my life for the past couple of years, my emotional journey. And so like, I loved that. Like, okay, we're welcoming you in. And then we have cinematic, we have this like overview and it's like, here's what's about to happen. Then it's exciting. And then the interlude, I was like, okay, that's like the perfect place. Track 5 because then it's like, okay, sit down, we're about to get real, we're about to get into like the sad emotions, all the vibes. And then I knew I wanted to end the album with Mr. Hollywood because it almost like looks back and it's very nostalgic over the past.
It's that La La Land moment, and
yes,
comes across like it's that me and Sebastian La La Land of like
like they're oh my god, it's like the supercut. It's like they're looking at all the memories together. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. I'm really curious of what your writing process was like. You mentioned you wrote like 200 songs for this one. And where were you pulling a lot of your inspirations from?
Yes. So I'm always writing, right? I'm always writing. And I'm always writing. I still have songs that, I wrote these past years that I'm like, this song is amazing. Like I need to put this on a project, but it didn't fit cinematic. So then I'll just put it on a different project, but I always get, I'm usually writing based off my emotions. And then sometimes I'll have a title and then I'll be like, okay, I love this title. Like, how can I work this in with what I'm feeling? Sometimes I'll have like a little melody idea. Usually I'll sit down at my piano or guitar and like, I'll just play a couple chords, play around with it. And then like, it'll come out kind of together. Sometimes I'll be driving and I'll get like a track from one of my producers and I'll get ideas. It's always when I'm not trying to get ideas that I get ideas. And then I'm like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to sit down and I have this little idea and I'm going to sit down for a couple hours and write it. But like, that's my favorite way. Because sometimes if you're trying too hard to be like, I need to write a song, you can't. So like, I love going for walks. I love like painting or like going for a drive, like doing something not where you're sitting down, like just doing something mundane. I feel like it allows you to be more creative without self-editing yourself.
I love that. Is there moments where you're driving and you get these and you're like, I have to pull over right now and write this down right now because if I don't, I'm going to lose it?
Yes, I usually just turn my voice memo on and I'm just singing out loud. But it does happen. I'll be like somewhere with my friends and they all know. I'm like, okay, sorry, guys, I have to go to the bathroom to record a little voice memo real fast. Or like I have a long notes app that I'll write down things.
The famous notes app. It's like my favorite.
Yeah.
Everybody always talks about the famous notes app.
Yeah, because it's like sometimes I don't have my journal with me or like sometimes, you just want to write down like, oh, that's cool. And it's very interesting too because sometimes I'll probably like once a month-ish, I'll intentionally be like, okay, I wonder what I've written like in my notes app, like this past couple of weeks. Let's go through and look. And like, sometimes I'll be like, oh my gosh, that's a really cool idea. And then it will spark another idea. So it's like, the more you create, the more you create. Like, it's a snowball. It's like getting started is just the hardest part. But once you're there, it's just like, you have to be intentional about scheduling time to be like, okay, I'm going to write for 2 hours tonight. I'm going to put my phone away. Like you'll be creative. It's so hard. I feel like boredom is what we are missing in society right now because, we're always scrolling. There's always like something like there's always a podcast on, always this on, which is like amazing. We can be so connected and I've learned so much from all of this, but I have to like be intentional about being like, okay, Lily, like you're not going to be scrolling on your phone. You're going to like sit here in silence and you'll get ideas if you force yourself to be bored.
If another artist was to come to you today and be like, hey, I'm having writer's block, what advice would you give to them?
I would say go on a walk. Put your phone away. Like, actually, I would probably say like, okay, so don't write for a week. Like, don't let yourself write anything for a week. It's like reverse psychology. It's like, I don't know if you've ever done this, but the Artist Way book.
I've heard about it a couple of times.
It's amazing. But there's one thing in there where it's like, whatever, I think it was, it was like whatever your version of escapism is, like, don't do it for a week. I love reading books, like fiction books. Like I can read like 2 fiction books a day. Like I could just read, like my favorite thing is like I love waking up in the morning just like reading a whole book, like one sitting, because it's like me getting out of my own head. Like if I don't want to think about my own life, I'll be like, let me just read a book. And then I can like forget about it. But it was like, don't do it for 1 week. So I remember like not reading for 1 week, and then it makes you want to like read and like create. It like gives you more ideas if you're like, okay, for 1 week, I'm not going to listen to any music. I'm not going to consume any music. I'm just going to like listen to nature. I'm going to actually like go outside and like talk to people or like just like listen to the sounds, and it makes you want to listen to music. You like crave it after.
I love that.
Break. Yeah, taking a break, you know, doing something different always makes you want to write again.
Interesting. How would you say Cinematic differs from your last two projects, LA Doesn't Miss Me and Distracting Myself?
I would say, you know, it definitely, there's a lot of like growth. There's a lot of growth in, you know, all of these, but it's crazy because it's like, you know, Distracting Myself, that my first EP, I was 19 when I made those songs and put that out, and then, you know, put out LA Doesn't Miss Me when I was 20. And I think there's a lot of growth just in terms of who I am as a person, which I think can come across in my music. If you're a good writer, who you are should come across in your lyrics. So I feel like that comes out through that. But I also think it was a lot of different, I really love the production that we did, because it was all like cinematic to me. It feels like they're all like siblings, but they're all a little bit different. And I knew I wanted to create a world. I didn't want them to be too similar, but I wanted them to be like almost like looking back like as a scrapbook. And I wanted them to go together timeless, where like in 10 years, you can listen to the album and like it still feels like a good, strong body of work.
Yeah, and that definitely comes across 100%.
Yay.
I'm really curious of what you hope audience take away after experiencing the project as a whole.
Ooh. I hope they take away from it personally that, you know, you're going to feel a lot of feelings, and that's okay. You know, they're going to be good, they're going to be bad, they're going to be ugly, they're going to be high highs and low lows, but like the only way to get through them is you have to feel them, and that, you know, it's okay. Like you're going to feel, there's a lot of nuance in things. You're not just going to feel all of one thing for somebody or all of one thing like positive about a situation. Like it's okay to still feel, you know, have those days where you feel sad about somebody, and then the next day where you feel really happy. Like that's normal, but you have to like feel them. You can't run from your feelings or avoid them. Also that, I don't know, I just hope they take away, I don't know. Yeah. I hope they take away, they can feel their feelings. And then like musically that like, I just hope they love listening to the album. Like I'm such an album person. Like I love being able to like put on an album. I don't have to worry about queuing up stuff. I'm like, I just want to step into this artist's world.
Yes.
And it's very like, it almost feels like a little time capsule. And I just love it. And I hope that, you know, Cinematic becomes one of those albums for them.
Oh, I'm so excited for you. All right, my last question, everyone's favorite. I asked you to bring 3 songs from 3 other artists you wanted to share with us, and feel free to elaborate a little bit on why you chose each one of these.
Okay, these are 3 songs. I don't, maybe one of these is like a newer release, but not super new. But these are songs I've been listening to. It's very, I'm in Nashville right now, and it's very like gray and cold and rainy, but I love these songs.
So it's Carole King season is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, but it's like these songs are so good. Okay, number 1, Thunder by Lana Del Rey. Blue Ministers is such a good album, underrated. I like this song is just so good. There's just something about, even though like the Blue Ministers album is so good, and it's just the lyrics, but also like the production and just the vibes of it. But Thunder is such a good song, and I don't know. I relate to the lyrics a lot, but I also just love listening to it. Like there's something about it where it does feel folly. Like it just feels very, I don't know how to describe it. It just feels very like nostalgic, but in like I want to listen to it as I'm just like walking alone, like thinking type of way, you know? Okay, next song, I Want You to Love Me by Fiona Apple. I love that album. But that song is just so good. And I've been getting my dad on Fiona Apple, actually. I remember like walking around, I was playing him this song. And then I was also playing him the remix that somebody made on TikTok of I Want You to Love Me with Run Away With Me by Carly Rae Jepsen. Have you ever seen this remix? It was like, it elevated me. I was like, oh my gosh. It like, because I remember listening to this album during the pandemic, like when it came out, and being like, this is so good. And like, I just feel like there's something about like Fiona Apple fall. It's Fiona Apple fall. Like I just want to listen to her albums in the fall for some reason, and like really get into the lyrics when I'm in like a really lyric mode. Like I feel like in the summer sometimes I'm like, okay, I just want to vibe. I just want to like put on music and vibe out. And then I'm like, oh no, in the fall, I want to be deep. I want to like feel a lot of things, you know? And then, okay, the last song that I have is a newer song that I found actually on my Discover Weekly on Spotify. And it is I Can't Get My Head Around You by Billy Martin. It's just like such a vibey song. It's such a vibey song. I believe she's from the UK or Australia. Like she's a huge artist. I didn't hear her music until I found it on my Discover Weekly. And I was like, wait, this is so good. Like so vibey, but like it's just so good. Like the production mixed with her like vocals of it. But that song is very much like you're like chilling. It reminds me, all of these songs remind me of like old coffee shop vibes. Like think like cozy coffee shop. You're getting a hot latte. Like I want to be bundled up and I'm just like doing my work. I'm like writing or something and I'm like listening to music. Like that's the vibe I get from like all of these songs.
And it is totally coming across. Like I'm like, I want to get like an apple cider.
Yes.
In the window.
Exactly.
But this is a solid lineup, Lily. You delivered here. Great job. Well, Lily, thank you so much for coming and chatting with me. Again, you should be super proud of Cinematic, and I'm so excited for everyone to hear it. But until then, everyone enjoy Try to Run.
Welcome back to Off the Record, a radio playlist where I help you discover new artists and new music. I'm here with Tristen Gressett to talk about his newest single, Beauty Queen. Tristen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Isaiah. Thank you so much for having me on the show. This is an awesome thing that you got going on here.
I'm so excited to gab. You know, you're paving the way of like this like old school. The best way to describe it is like dusty folk country sound. Before we get into your music, I'm really curious. I love asking, who were your musical influence growing up? And when I ask that, I don't mean like who were the artists you were listening to. Who was listening to music around you, and what do you remember them playing when you were coming up?
Wow. I was raised by a single mother. It's always just been me and my mama. Aww. And she kind of had a really broad taste in music. When I think of my mama, an artist that I think of who's kind of underground is Corey Smith.
Okay.
She had this old Corey Smith CD that she would just play all the time, and it was a bootleg too. And it was just like this kind of alternative. He was an alternative country artist.
Wow.
And but man, she listened to everything from Nelly to the Black Eyed Peas to
solid.
George Jones. She was on absolutely everything. And she, growing up, we listened to a lot of the Now That's What I Call Music CDs.
Yeah.
That we would have in the car. But as I got a little bit older, I just started finding a lot of stuff on YouTube, like the Animals, Jimi Hendrix, Bob Dylan, all the greats. And she introduced me to some of that stuff, a little bit. And then I just kind of took off with it, on my own. And then as I started playing music, I got to credit James Alverson, who is one of my mom's good friends, who's really like a grandfather figure in my life.
That's awesome.
Just helped me explore a lot of those older cats that just blew my mind.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a small town called Pell City, Alabama.
Alabama, there it is. I love that. Well, let's talk a little bit about your inspo and your process as a writer. Like I mentioned, literally the best way to describe your sound is dusty and timeless. What are your like influences, and what is the process of your creation when it comes as a lyricist and as a songwriter? What is that kind of looking like right now?
Yeah, well, first of all, I really appreciate that description, Isaiah. That really means a lot. I feel like it's taken me a long time to kind of hone in on the sound that I have now, because for the past few years I've done everything myself in terms of production. So on Beauty Queen, I played every instrument on that besides drums and the violin and viola. Wow. And I do everything through my home studio. If you listen to some of the stuff off my last record, Hello California, it's kind of different than what you're hearing on Beauty Queen. There's a lot of similar stuff, but I've just spent so much time trying to hone in on what I've heard in my heart, because I've always loved, I think my biggest inspiration production-wise has to be Neil Young and Fleetwood Mac. I think those two.
There it is right there.
They just together, very, very old school. And a guy named Dylan LeBlanc too. He's kind of underground. He's a newer guy, but he's great. And I think taken from those inspirations, I've been kind of able to learn how to craft my own sound a little bit better.
Okay. What was your favorite Fleetwood Mac track growing up?
Oh my gosh. Oh, my favorite Fleetwood Mac track. That's so hard.
It's
That
so
is
hard.
so
I
hard.
own more Fleetwood Mac albums than any other artist.
I love Silver Springs is just,
Yeah.
I think that's a production masterpiece.
Yeah.
I think that is just an absolute production masterpiece. With what Lindsay's doing on the guitars, and there's just, it's so otherworldly sounding, and to capture that in the 70s, you don't have a bunch of synthesizers, and you're recording a tape.
Yeah.
Like, all those magical sounds have to be very, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to karate chop the mic. But those sounds have to be very meticulously handcrafted when you're making those. And that's just, it's just incredible what they did.
Where are you getting a lot of your inspiration from right now as a lyricist?
Wow. I don't want to sound whatever, but honestly, just, most of my, I feel like I spent a lot of time when I was younger trying to listen to music to understand what makes a great song. Not necessarily like learning how to write, but trying to understand, why do I like this song? And I feel like when I was younger, that started with the lyrics. And nowadays, I really don't listen to any particular artist for lyrical inspiration. I always make this analogy, like going to the Grand Canyon, a painter going to the Grand Canyon to paint the Grand Canyon, and you can go to the Grand Canyon and you can look at it and you can paint it. But there's also the artist who can go to the Grand Canyon, look at it, and then go home and try to paint the Grand Canyon and not be able to do as good of a job as if they were there. And then there's the artist that can go home and paint it perfectly. And I say that because I've faced a lot of things in my life, and I've tried to make it to where I have this well of emotion and thought that I can pull from to be able to write about meaningful things. Even when I'm having a really good day, I can write about something that was really, really hard, because I have that well of experiences that I've been through. And I've tried to learn pretty much how to paint the Grand Canyon even when I'm not there, in terms of my lyricism. And I think that that's important, because, great writers can I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of things that make a great writer, and one of those things I feel are just their ability to interpret what's around them and put it into a song. And I've really tried to hone in on being able to do that to the best of my ability.
I love that. What is some dream collaborations you have?
Oh man, dream collaborations. I would love to collaborate with Dylan LeBlanc, whether that be writing on a project or producing on a project. That would be absolutely incredible. Some of the monsters of the industry right now, I would love to collab with Shooter Jennings, an incredible producer, which is crazy because I live 5 minutes from Sunset Sound Studios.
Oh,
and
that's
I
so
drive
cool.
to work and pass by it every day, and I'm just like, I know he's in there.
Just want to stop and knock on the door really quick.
Yeah, just be like, hey.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Beauty Queen. Tell us the story of how it came to be and what you're hoping audiences take away from it.
Wow. Beauty Queen is really deep to me, because it's about my mama, and it's just kind of been me and her through everything. And I kind of wrote it about growing older and kind of understanding that she's a human too. And because when you're younger, you kind of look at your parents as gods that can kind of do no wrong. And as you get older, you kind of understand, like, oh wow, they can get sad, they can get they can experience things that that you experience. And I think just growing older and understanding that my mom hasn't had the easiest time, and starting to see some of those cracks show through, and kind of my kind of what seeing what my mom receives from the world and knowing what I wish that she got, you know,
Yeah.
and that all she's been through.
That's beautiful.
I
Is
appreciate
there any releases coming out down the pipeline that we should be looking out for?
Man, well, Beauty Queen is the first single off of my upcoming record. I don't have a name for it yet, but I can tell you that is only because this is the most honest thing that I've ever been able to create. I'm about 8 songs deep into it right now. There's a couple more singles that are going to come, and man, I'm so excited. There's a lot of blending of like country folk meets Pink Floyd
Okay.
meets Tom Petty. It's a lot. It's honestly my dream project.
That's awesome.
It really
You
is.
know,
And I'm not
it
just
really
saying
is a
that.
beauty in like this genre blending that we're seeing happening right now. Like
Yeah.
it really is making artists stand out above the crowd.
I
So
really
I'm excited. I'm excited to hear this upcoming project.
I really appreciate that, man.
All right. Well, it's time for my favorite question. I asked you to bring 3 songs from 3 other artists. Feel free to share with us a little bit on why you selected these.
Wow. I think one of the first ones I'm gonna bring is a couple. This one I've kind of found a little bit more recently. This is a song called "I Don't Mind" by Sturgill Simpson.
Okay.
And it's off of his record Cutting Grass. My buddy Cole Gallagher showed me this song, and he's actually on this list, funny enough, but he showed me this song, which I really feel, I don't know, it just has such a soft but intentional kind of edge to it that, I don't know, it just kind of puts me back home, and that's something that I love about this song. I think for my next pick, I'll have to go with Sitting on Top of the World by the Mississippi Sheiks.
Okay.
It's an old blues standard. I'm not sure what year it's from. I'm going to take a guess and say it's from the 30s or 40s. But it's just a very melancholic, beautiful song that's been on my heart lately. It's like now I'm here, I don't worry, 'cause I'm sitting on top of the world. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. It's a beautiful song. And then my last one, I'll have to say Lost Sounds by my buddy Cole Gallagher. The pre-chorus on that song is just crazy. He's got like a lot of blends of like George Harrison and I don't know. He's just got some really cool stuff going on in there. But
that's so cool.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but in my heart of hearts, it's telling me to ask you, what is like the most essential album to you? Like beginning to end, no skip.
Oh man, I wish that I had to think longer about this answer, but I'd say right off the bat, Laid Back by Greg Allman, in my opinion, is probably the perfect album. That and Live Rust by Neil Young. I think those, I know I can only pick one. If I had to pick one, it'd be Laid Back. But I think just production-wise, just front to back of that record, you can just listen to it. Just feels like one big, beautiful song.
I'm so excited to hear that.
It's an incredible, incredible album.
Well, Tristan, thank you so much for coming and chatting with me about your latest single. We're excited about the project. I know I am. It's, again, like I mentioned, that dusty folk country sound is just right in the money. But until then, I hope everyone enjoys Beauty Queen. This is Off the Record, where I help you discover new artists and new music. I'm super excited because I'm sitting here with Gert Arwood to talk about his debut EP, Looper. It's like this perfect soul rock EP. How you doing today, Gert?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk.
I'm super excited because, you know, your track stands out above a lot of what is being released right now, because nobody really is releasing soul rock influenced music. And I'm really curious to find out what your musical influences were growing up. I always like to ask this, not so much the artists you were discovering, but who was playing the music around you and what were they playing?
Oh, that's a great question. So a little backstory on me. I am a 3rd generation musician in my family.
Wow.
So my grandfather, my dad's side, he was a trombone player for the Army Blues for about 30. Trombonist for the Army Blues, and played for several presidents. There's this big musical legacy of like big band music in my family, and then my dad is also he worked in sound growing up and played in a lot of bands when he was my age. And then my aunt was actually a songwriter here in Nashville, where I'm based out of.
Wow.
And so I've been in Nashville here for 7 years now.
Okay.
And been doing the artist thing a little over a year now. Been doing the solo artist thing a little over a year, but I'd say that the main influences were honestly, I think family was a big part of it. So I gotta give credit to my parents. So my mom always had all of her favorite like pop and and like funk from the 80s playing. So Prince was really big. Prince was really big in our household. A lot of like 60s and 70s soul and like old like traditional country western music was really big. And on my dad's side of things, it was kind of that realm too, but with a lot of like 90s rock and alternative thrown in. And so, that opened the door for me for like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, for Lenny Kravitz, for Rage Against the Machine, for a lot of those heavier, more like riffy influences that you'll hear in my music. But I also have to give credit where credit is due. I'm a band kid, so actually came up playing trumpet and bass in jazz ensembles and like all state orchestras and groups throughout. And my middle school band director was the one who really pushed me to like really think about music, after he was my teacher.
That's so cool.
So I got to give credit where credit is due to him as well. But it's a wide array of people that have inspired me to really do my own thing. And one more little wrinkle I'll add to that is
do it.
The 5 or 6 years that I've had prior to doing the soloist thing, I've actually been full time as like a hired gun musician.
I was gonna ask if like you moved to Nashville with the intention of being an artist, or was it as a musician?
No, I moved here with the intention of like, okay, I'm gonna be a bass player and I'm gonna play for other artists, and that's gonna be that's a career path. And then somewhere along the way, I've been saying all my life I was just too anxious in front of people until probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
I think somewhere along that line, when my friends found out I could sing and that I was like interested in writing, they started bringing me to like co-writing sessions, and they were like, I have a really great community here in Nashville too that always pushes me. I can always rely on for just support and love and insight. So so the artist is kind of a new dream. Because full time what I do now is I play bass for people still.
That's awesome.
So I get the best of both worlds these days, even though one is still kind of,
I'm really curious what the production of this EP was like. Was this a studio? Was it at home? And what was it like putting this track list together?
So this track list, so the 6 songs on Looper, I feel like I went through so many drafts of like what it could be versus what it turned out to be. Initially, there were 7 songs on it. And there was even 8. Then I was like, I got to kind of scale it back, because we're getting like album territory and want to something a little bit smaller to start out. Fans of mine know my debut solo single, Unclear. That song was almost on. It was almost the first track of the EP, but I decided to kind of let it stand on its own.
Awesome.
the rest of the project was kind of structured around this this sort of narrative that I had, where the first half of the project, so Yes Man, Part-Time Lover Boy, Guilty Conscience, was very much structured around walking away and mourning this, my first real relationship that I had. That unfortunately did not end super well, or super amicably. And I think, context on that, you can listen to Yes Man, Part-Time Lover Boy, and piece all that together.
Yeah.
But this half was a lot more introspective, I feel like. By the time you get to Looper and Heavy Soul, I very much brought it back to myself. And, the reason why I wanted to call it Looper in the first place, the reason why that's the title track, is essentially just because I found myself stuck in the cycle of like, I want to move on from this shit. But I keep just beating myself up and repeating through it, which is kind of where Guilty Conscience comes in.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it is kind of Looper and Heavy Soul are kind of this period of time between my first relationship and my second relationship, the first of which, like I said, did not end super well, versus my second relationship, which was basically the first like real example I've had like a healthy, strong relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful, because even though I'm not with that person anymore, like we're still very amicable, very friendly, supportive.
That's great.
And I think had I not had that period of time, that real life period of time, which was about 2 years of what Looper and Heavy Soul was, kind of spending some time alone and like trusting in myself that I got to grow a little bit and I got to learn from these mistakes and my shortcomings, and like let these cycles break and give myself a little bit more grace, then I don't think I would have been able to get to that second relationship I talked about in Golden Eyes.
Wow.
And so I think the structure of it really is telling a little story in it. I think all six stand on their own if you want them to. But I think the beauty of it for me is that it kind of, it starts off in a very frustrated and angry place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it ends in what I feel is a lot more gentle and mature of a place with Golden Eyes. Which ironically, Golden Eyes was actually the first song I wrote for this project.
Interesting.
But yeah, these songs have existed for a few years at this point. Golden Eyes I wrote back in 2021. And then the only, like, I believe the newest song, the youngest song out of the six is Looper, the title track, which I wrote in 2023. So just to show you, like, it's been a long time coming. A lot of
they've been sitting for a while.
So it was all about me kind of just gathering the confidence to really put this out to people.
What are you hoping? What are you hoping audiences take away from the EP?
That's a great question. I think for me, what I would love for listeners to take away, not only just outside of just enjoying the project and just really having a fun little head nod session for 24, 25 minutes, is maybe see places where they might feel stuck and they might feel like they're kind of like caught in their own way. And I hope that I hope for the first half of this project that for folks that feel like they're being overlooked or mistreated or disrespected in some way, that it gives them enough power to pull the lens back and kind of reclaim some of that. And
that's great.
For the for the second half, I really hope that it allows people to really think about like the importance of spending time growing and becoming an individual.
Yeah.
Which I'm still doing so much of, even though I wrote these songs. I hope it gives I hope it gives listeners permission to allow themselves to keep growing and
Yeah.
keep trying to break these cycles that aren't serving us.
That's great.
So yeah.
Well, it's time for my favorite question. I asked you to bring 3 songs from 3 other artists you want to share with us, and feel free to elaborate a little bit on why you chose these.
Okay. So I'm actually going to shout out. I have the luxury of a performer as well, and a bass player for a lot of really talented people. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to shout out 3 people who I am a bassist for.
I love that.
Which all of them have been releasing music as of this year. I'll start with an artist named Claire Ernst.
Okay.
Who is one of my all-time favorite people. Went to college together, and we've made music together for years. We toured together. Just unbelievable pop R&B soul artist.
Love it.
So, she just put out her debut album this year, and there's a song called Roller Coasters that is quite possibly the grooviest pop tune I've heard in a long time. But yeah, Claire Ernst, Ernst.
See, Claire Ernst. Okay.
The second one I'm going to shout out is my friend Molly Grace, who
love Molly Grace.
Yeah, I've been playing with Molly for a little over 4 years now. Love her to pieces, and she actually also just put out her debut album, Blood.
Yep.
And my favorite track to play off of, selfishly, my favorite track to play off of that one is a song called Say When.
Okay.
And it's a deep cut on there. It is not a single on my project, but I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of her. And, I love playing that song. And then let's see, who is this last one going to be? There is an artist. Okay. There's an artist that I love on to. I don't play with this artist, but I've become a really big fan of hers. Her name is Ali Sand.
Ali Sand.
Last name is Sandp.
Sandp. Okay.
T at the end.
Oh, Sandt. Okay, Ali Sand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ali Sand. And she has a song called Flood that it just reached me at the perfect time. A little earlier this year, and I adore that song.
I love that.
And that she's the one on the list that I don't play for, but I think she's brilliant. But yeah, those are my 3.
I love it. I can't wait to give those a listen. Well, Gert, thank you so much again for coming and chatting with me. Again, Looper is an incredible debut project, right in that soul and rock field, and I hope everyone enjoys my favorite track on it, Part-Time Lover Boy.
Make it out of this town alive. I never see it tearing my
It's time for my favorite segment, 3 New Artists, where I share with you 3 artists to keep your eyes on. This first one, you remember when I had Michael Cooper Lee on the show? Incredible person. I'm at Costco. I get a call and I see it's a Milwaukee number, so I pick it up. He's like, Isaiah, it's Michael. And I'm like, what is going on, man? He goes, I have a friend I need you to listen to. You are going to love this track. And he was not wrong. Cody James Interstate is that like classic folk sound, right up the same alley of what he's doing. And a lot of other like folk artists that are putting and pumping stuff out. You're definitely going to enjoy this one. And then Sula Lewitt is my second one. She has a track called Someone Else's Somebody. And if you missed the Fearless and debut era, this is right up your alley, because she has that like beautiful twangy country sound, but it's not like the pop star that we're seeing. And then Banson, another one that I recently discovered, he has a track called Roadrunner, and it has that like Zach Bryan grit, like that true like grit. It sounds dirty. It's really like in there, and I love it. So those are my 3 artists for you to check out this week. Thank you for watching this week's episode. I may have a big announcement on my Instagram this week that I'm excited for you guys to see. So until then, enjoy this week's episode. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.